a voice.
The Holy Book said, "In the mouth of two or three witnesses shall every word be established." In this case, we have 95% witnesses, and that's quite overwhelming. In every department, you must agree with me that there is one who is regarded as a father to all without occupying any official role. For the Department of Mass Communication, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, he is regarded as a father to all. The climax of this was seen as 95% or more of the outgoing students of mass communication mentioned him as their best lecturer while collating their data. This led to my decision to interview the class representative of the outgoing class to know the reason behind their choice. He said, and I quote, "He is more of a fatherly figure to the class, someone the class depends or rely on. He respects himself so much, and there are things you would never hear about him, and discussions his name would never be mentioned in. He wants the best out of every student he comes across." For 3 years consecutively, he has been awarded the Lecturer of the Year by the Mass Communication Student Association, MAXA UNN. He is a lecturer, an evangelist, a father, a friend, a researcher, and a counselor. The passion to further his education led him to enrolling for his tertiary education as a father of four and one wife. At the moment, he is a doctor in mass communication, specializing in health and population communication, conflict reporting, environmental reporting, communication, and media. The man in view has published several research works and has been a member of various committees in the university. This interview centers on his childhood, background, personality, profession, and his view on certain matters that pertains to life. We believe his success story is worth sharing and hope you would learn a lot from it. I have the pleasure of revealing today's guest to you. He is Dr. Chidiebere Nwachukwu. Good day, sir. It's a pleasure to have you today with us in the studio after a very long time. So, guys, I think I'm going to be giving my screen a thumbs up to be hosting Dr. Nwachukwu today. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Claire.
Okay, I think the wrong thing I just did now was to call his name, but I will still give him the opportunity to introduce himself to us. So, please, let's meet you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Chidiebere Nwachukwu, a staff of Mass Communication Department, UNN.
Okay, so we want to go a little backward. Is it a little? I think far, way backward. We want to know about your background. Can you give us full list, not half list, about your upbringing, your background, how you came to this point that you're at the moment?
Giving you what you call a full gist would be like writing a novel. And I neither have the time nor the skill to write one. I'm Chidiebere Nwachukwu from Abia State. I have my first degree in UNN, second degree UNN, and equally my doctoral degree. I came in here in 2007 as an undergraduate student, and because I was involved in some things at that time, I could not continue. So I had to apply for deferment and came back in 2008, completed my undergraduate studies in 2011. After graduation, the school retained me, so I came back as what is called a graduate assistant in 2012, May 23rd, to be precise, 2012. And I've risen through the ranks to become a senior lecturer today.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I still need to know a little about your background. You started from your undergraduate days, and I think that's so recent.
Yes.
Can we know about your childhood
Well,
and possibly a memorable experience you had?
I am from a family of 8 children. The eldest
Wow.
And my father was an evangelist in the Church of Christ. And I became one too. I became an evangelist. Before I came to UNN, both as a student and as a lecturer, I was already an evangelist in the Church of Christ. And when I said I came to UNN in 2007, I actually came as a mature student because I was already married with 4 children
Wow.
before I came to enroll as an undergraduate student. I was a kind of novelty in those days because each time I entered a class, I would stop traffic, both on the part of students and the lecturers. And sometimes lecturers would stop me at the door and ask me if I was a student or a lecturer. It happened over and over again. And I remember also the first day that I entered in 106, that the first year class in mass department. And suddenly, every activity in the class stopped.
Wow.
Nobody was talking. They thought I was a lecturer until I went and sat down. And they saw I wasn't addressing them and I was not leaving. And I was there until the lecturer came. I think the first lecturer I met there was Professor Kokoro. And after he had left the class, the lead of the equipment entered. And when he left, all those students, when they now saw I was their classmate, they clustered around me to interview me.
Wow.
Sir, are you a student? Do you have a family? What kept you at home this long before you came? So many questions. And eventually they got used to me and saw me as part of them. But I was a student with a difference because even some of my lecturers felt a bit uncomfortable seeing me in the class, and they respected me. They respected me, and in GS building, I remember that 2 lecturers one day stopped me and asked me, "Are you a student or a lecturer?" And there were occasions when they would just enter the class and come straight away to me and shake hands with me before they would go and deliver their lecture. But I got used to all that. I did. So being the eldest child, my childhood was a very memorable one. I had good parents. My father loved me very, very much. And I have shared this fact with many people. My father loved me so much that each time I was sick in those days, in the night, he would not sleep. He would come and place his hand on my chest to see if I was still breathing. And then he would beg me, please don't die before me, wait for me to die first, and all that. And I recall that one day in the church, somebody accused my father of loving me more than he loved Jesus Christ. So that was the kind of close relationship I had with my father and my mother. And unfortunately, he died 24 years ago, and I had to assume leadership of the family. And I'm happy that my siblings too are beginning to find their feet. They are doing well today in their different careers. When you ask about a memorable thing, I think I can share this with you. I do not recall ever sharing this with any person. When I was a kid, I had gone hunting for fruits. And because I had a very strict upbringing, you would do the right things at the right time. You would cook and do other household chores. I was not only the first child, but for many years I was the only son. My siblings were all girls, so many of the things that girls were actually required to do in the house, I was the one doing them. So I would cook and fry gari and do so many other things from the time I was very young. Then one day after school, I had gone hunting for fruit. I recall it was mango. And so I didn't get home on time. And then my mother returned. Can't recall whether it was the farm or the market. And then she was very angry. Very, very angry. My mom was younger in those days and very strong. You would not have thrown her. She was very, very strong. before you try, she will catch you and bring you back. So my mother beat and beat and beat and beat me that day until I lost consciousness.
Wow.
Yes. And I woke up and saw, I gained consciousness. I saw everybody pouring water on me. Yes. And she apologized. Then that taught me a lesson. Just be home when you ought to be home and do whatever you were asked to do in those days. So both my mom and myself, we learned some lessons from that very incident. Another one I can share with you is the one that happened when I moved to Umbo, because I grew up in Umbo, primary school and secondary school. I was living with my father. I did something, and my father was very angry with me and told me, I cannot imagine that my son will do this. So for about 2 days, my father was not talking to me, and he was saying, you are not my son. And so I decided to run. So one day he just left, and I left. I was in primary school, I think primary 4. I just went to Enugu, Old Park in Enugu. I wanted to go home because my mom was in the village. I wanted to go home because I was no longer comfortable living with my father. He was very angry, and I had never seen him that angry with me before. So I got to Enugu. I didn't know which vehicle to take. So the first vehicle that I found, I just told him, "Umaya." The man said, "Enter," and I entered, and the man drove me straight to the police station.
Okay. Now, guys, that's a very wise man.
Straight to the police station. And my father was everywhere looking for me and he could not find me that day. In the morning, early in the morning, my father was at the police station and just saw me. And I told him, I'm not going home with you. Said, he began to apologize and then convinced me to go home with him. So I remember all of it. There were good times, there were also bad times. I lost my younger sister. And she was very close to me, and she took it was measles, and she didn't recover. And when I lost, I could not eat for several days. So apart from those ones, there were very many happy moments in my childhood. Having a father and a mother that loved me so much, and they were willing to encourage me. I mean, it was such a close relationship that when my father took ill and became very sick, I was not there the day he died, but my younger sister was there, and my sister told me that my dad called her and said, please apologize to Chidiebere, tell him that I am sorry, that I'm leaving so much burdens for him to carry, but that God will be with him. I don't even know how I'm able to relate this without crying. Yes, I don't know.
You've healed over the years.
Yes, maybe.
Wow. You had an exciting childhood, I must say. Which I think I would want to ask what your classmates then gathered around you to ask the first day you came to class.
Yeah.
Why did you start your undergraduate years at that point? Why did you wait till after married and kids?
Well, I was deeply involved in church activities. I was an evangelist. I was working in the church, and the days ran into months into years. It was always part of my plan to go back to university and become a graduate. And there was actually a time when all my focus was on leaving Nigeria to study abroad. But it didn't happen. So, because I grew up in the church virtually, my father was an evangelist. That was all he did in his lifetime. I was in love with everything. The church shaped my life in many ways. And I remember the day I told my father that I had decided to become an evangelist. He told me he was expecting that there was no reason in the world why I should not be an evangelist. So it took my time. But one day I realized that time was actually running very fast. And then I had my friends, Tony Eze, who was always reminding me it was time to go back to school. always. And when eventually I gained admission to study in UNN, I came to Nsukka without any preparation. One day I just packed my bag and came to school. I attended lectures Mark 101, Mark 111, and Mark 201, philosophy. No, theories of mass com. And then they said the next class will be around 4 p.m. at Udebuen Hall in social sciences. It was good to be Phi 101. So I left mass com department and went to Udebuen. And while I sat down there, I was asking myself, at the end of this lecture at 6 p.m.,
Where next?
where would you sleep? Because there was no preparation at all. Where would you sleep? Because my family was living at Ogidi. Would you be traveling to Ogidi by 6 p.m., then come back the next day to attend classes again? I just told myself, no, this is not what, I'm not cut up for this. There is no way I'm going to endure this stress. So from Udebwan, I just moved to Peace Park, and by 8 p.m. I was at Ogidi. And my wife asked me, why are you back? I said, no, I will not be able to endure this. I would rather go and enroll in one private study or the other and graduate after 5 years than go through this stress. My wife didn't say anything. She served me food, but early in the morning she woke me up and asked me, do you mean that just the stress you faced in one day would make you change your mind about this thing that you've prepared for many years? I told her not to worry, that I will go and enroll in one part-time program and still be able to graduate. She said no, that I should make full preparations and go back on suffering. That I will not be able to do that. Then my friend Tony, who is in the UK now, he called me and asked me about this. I think it was my wife that got in touch with him and told him what was happening. So he called me and said, bro, what is happening? He said, I will not be able to go through this. I would go and enroll for a part-time program. He asked me, do you mean you want to live and die without being a graduate? I said, no, don't worry, I will graduate, but it doesn't have to be in Nsukka and all this stress. He called me the next day and said, please, I have an appeal to make. Just go back to Nsukka and apply for deferments. Just take your time. After 1 year, if you still feel that you're not willing or able to go through this program, I will never trouble you again. So the third day he called me again and said, are you going for this deferment? He said, okay, I will do that. At that time, I was touring Nigeria with some American missionaries who were here. So we were going to a point state one day to preach. So I took the time, I told them I wouldn't join them on time, but I would be going somewhere. So I came to Nsukka, applied for deferment, and then left. But what happened was that I took that time to come to Nsukka and look for accommodation, secured accommodation. My wife bought all the things I needed, pots and other things, bed, mattress, and everything I needed. So I was ready. So by November 2008, I was back, and I was very, very ready for the studies. A lot of stress, having to travel to Gidi every Thursday to be with the church, and then come back either Sunday night or Monday morning. It was stressful, but I enjoyed my time as another graduate.
Wow. Then, interestingly, you came to the first class, right?
Yes, I did.
So how did you do that? I mean, you were a father, you were an evangelist, you had to go back every Thursday to come back. A lot of things all put together was there on your table. How were you able to still pull through?
I think, number one, it was the grace of God. The grace of God. Because it happens that I'm not, when it comes to intelligence, I do not think that I'm above average. I'm not a dunce, but I don't think there's anything exceptional about my intelligence. But I was a mature student. I was already a man, not a boy. I was a father. I was an evangelist. And before that, my degree program, I had already done a diploma program. So I came in here as a direct entry student And a lot of things being taught in the class sounded very familiar. Incidentally, in my diploma program too, I did graduate with what is distinction, yes. So many things being taught in the class sounded very familiar to me. And because I had always been reading newspapers, in fact, up to now, I'm still addicted to news. I'm still addicted to news. I listen to news every day, read a lot. I also read a lot of novels. Then I watch a lot of movies. So it was not hard for me to understand those mass communication principles being taught in the class. So being able to graduate with first class was not actually a reflection of high intelligence or anything like that. So just because I had accumulated a lot of knowledge at that time.
So more like an exposure you had.
Yes. Yes, I had exposure. I had.
What's your most valued asset in life?
Very interesting question. My most valued asset in life is my relationship with God.
Wow.
It has shaped who I am, what I do, and the way I do those things. Yes.
So if there's anything you must lose on earth, that can't be lost.
No, if I lose that, then I have lost everything. If I lose it, I've lost my family. Because it has also influenced my dealings with my wife, and with my children, with my students, with my community, and whoever else comes in contact with me. It's just that relationship with God. You know, knowing that there is a higher being to whom I must give accounts, whether my wife is there or not, whether my children are around, whether anybody sees me, I know that there's a higher being that I must give account to. And he sees every move that I make and knows the thoughts that I have in my mind. So that has actually shaped whatever that I do.
Okay, so now aside God and you mentioned Tony Easy, can we know some other people who really contributed to your success today?
I think that a lot of the honor, gratitude should go to my wife. She's a very strong woman, and because I'm always traveling, always on the road, my wife has been able to hold the home front very, very well and give me that emotional support that I need to be able to do the things that I do. And I recall that while I was also a student, I was not only taking care of my family, but myself and my siblings. Because while I was there, my siblings were also in school. And each time I ran out of cash, my wife would bring money.
Wow.
To take care of my needs. And because of the kind of capital needed to fund my own education and that of my children and my siblings, my wife also stepped in. And I had a sister then, my younger sister Malachi, who was a unique reading law. It became very challenging to take care of my fees, take care of her own. While I think it was my final year, she was to go to law school. And I didn't have the resources to pay. I had to borrow some money to be able to pay the law school fees. But my wife stepped in and told me, don't mind about our children's school fees. I will take care of that. You just take care of yourself and take care of Amarachi's school fees. I will take care of the rest. So that actually lifted a lot of load from my shoulders. So apart from that, she will provide food in the house. She will buy clothes for me. I mean, I hate shopping. So my wife will go to market and buy virtually everything that I need. What I'm wearing now, she bought.
Oh, so guys, this is white material. I think
So,
this is where we'll draw the definition
yes,
from.
she will buy everything, buy even my singlet, buy the shoes and the stockings, everything. So I have come to rely fully on her. And if she travels for a day, it will seem like an eternity. I'll be begging her to come back. So she has been able to provide that support that I need to actually function very well.
So aside her, any other person?
Yes. I just mentioned Tony Eze.
Yeah.
Tony is the kind of friend that sticks closer than my brother. He and his wife,
Wow.
they have given me a lot of support over the years. I cannot quantify the value of their friendship. I cannot. It is impossible. It's impossible. And then I have church members who are always praying for me. Always. I value their relationship. I value their prayers. I value their spiritual support very much. And then I made friends in UNN. I made friends. And I appreciate those people very much, in spite of the fact that I do not belong to their generation. But in my class, I enjoyed a lot of respect. Nobody ever said no to me, even when I had to colonize a particular seat in the class. Because being a very shy person, when I came to UNN, I told myself, you're going to fight this timidity. You will never sit at the back of the class. Where naturally I would want to sit and hide myself. I decided that I would always sit in the front. And if there was no space for me to sit in the front, I would stand. I would go there and stand. But never
Sit at the back.
never sit at the back, nor in the middle. So I would either sit in the front or stand in the front. I took that decision to be able to fight this tendency to hide myself in the crowd. So my classmates deferred to me so that if I was late to class, the moment I stepped in, the person occupying that my seat would get up for me. They did that as a mark of respect. Everybody called me Mr. Nwachukwu. Nobody ever called me Chidiebere in that class. Up until this moment, if I call any person on the phone after so many years, who is it, please? It is Chidiebere Nwachukwu. And they won't be able to remember who Chidiebere is. If I say Mr. Nwachukwu, they will remember straight away. So I really, really appreciate my relationship with them. There are so many other people that gave me support. Friends I've had over the years who have remained friends up to this time. In good times and bad times, they have been with me over the years. Friends I've made for about 30 years or more. They have been with me, and I really, really appreciate them. And my siblings have been very wonderful. You know, my culture. You call your elder brothers and sisters or whoever is elder than you, dead. So they show me a lot of respect, a lot of it. And so they have been also a source of strength to me. Yeah.
So we're going to be delving a little. Okay, as I just said delve, my mind went
Did
somewhere.
I also mention my students? Mass communication students have been great to me. I enjoy a lot of relationship with them, and it doesn't end at graduation. It does not end. There are many mass comm students who every month will remember to send me a message. Happy New Month, sir. I mean, people who graduated many years ago, they have no reason in the world to still remember me, but they still do. So, a few days ago, I won an award. Came to my office to give me an award as lecturer of the year.
Yeah.
And that's the third time that I'm winning this award. So I really appreciate mass communication students. I enjoy a very cordial relationship with them. And they have endured my weaknesses and still remain my friends. And I really appreciate that.
I was going to go into this particular thing because while, going through, there's this profile, the current final year of mass communication leads.
Yes.
And then in that profile, I saw things like name, date of birth, favorite lecturer. And I realized that 70 or more percent of persons who filled that form wrote Dr. Nwachukwu. And then I was, okay, wow. How would just a lecturer take as much, percentage from a class? What informs your relationship with students? What's the reason for, giving them that open door system? What's the reason behind it?
Thank you for that question, but I think it is the way it should be. Students are the reason why lecturers are who they are. Without the students, there would not be lecturers at all. So when we input humbly apply for the job of lecturers, we know we are coming here to serve students. And they deserve respect because they are human beings. It is their right to be respected. It is even their right to make their mistakes and be corrected. Because those of us who are adults, we also make mistakes. And sometimes we get away with our mistakes. Nobody will rebuke us. No. So I don't expect too much from students, more from any human being than that. So I have 4 children. 4 children who do not behave alike. They make mistakes because they're human beings. And I recall that my children are beginning to leave home. They will also come in contact with other people that will shape who they are, people that God will also use to impact their own lives. Yeah. So wisdom dictates that if I want my own children to be treated well out there, I should also find a way to treat other people's children very well. That is my job. Not only to teach, but to help the students become who they need to be, both in character and learning. That's the job of every teacher. So give them time to learn, help them to overcome their weaknesses, and just give them that assurance that somebody is there to help them, even when they fall, to stretch out their hand, to lift them up. You know, there's something, a kind of joy that would come to you if you are able to impact people in such a way. You know, I have seen students who come in here because of their background. They are very timid. They will not be able to ask any question in the class. Not because they don't have a question to ask, because they lack the boldness. I can spot such students in the class and they invite them to my office and hold conversations with them and make them believe in themselves. If by tomorrow, or in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, maybe I'm relaxing at home watching TV and I see this student now on TV, or I read newspapers and see their names mentioned and they have become somebody, I'll be fulfilled. I don't need land, I don't need cars, I don't need money from students. I just want to have the joy of seeing that I have somehow impacted this person's life and they have been able to overcome their challenges to now occupy a position where they're able to impact society. There is nothing like that kind of joy that will suffuse my mind.
So far, have you seen such kind of results?
Yes.
From your students?
Yes, I have. I have seen students that call me on the phone, say, I'm in public relations, I'm doing well in journalism, and it was because, see, one of them years ago told me that he is in PR today just because of what I taught them in the second year. And it so happened that was the first course I taught. I just knew, because Azia was going on sabbatical leave, and he just called me and said, "Want you to teach this course for me?" And I was even very, very shy in those days. I would not be able to look students in the eyes. And still, after a few years, somebody called me and said, I'm in PR today, I'm doing well. And my interest in public relations was actually developed because of what you taught us in second year. That was my reward. And I appreciate that very, very much.
I mean, I myself started loving PR after one of the courses you taught. So I think I can feel what the person felt. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Have you ever failed?
Failed?
Yes.
Look, I'm a very weak person. Very weak person. Sometimes I disappoint people. When you say, have you ever failed? I know you're not referring to the classroom work, assignment, or exams. I have failed many times because I'm a very weak person. Sometimes I lose my temper and I react in ways I shouldn't react. Sometimes students will come to my office to demand for one thing or the other. And I realize that those people have not actually done what they ought to do. Because there are things you should do. Because those things are within reach. Because the principle that guides me is that whatever God has given you the capacity to do as an individual, you shouldn't outsource back to God. Do your own bit. Those things you cannot do for yourself, you cannot seek help. If I am convinced that students genuinely need help, I will abandon everything and see that they receive the help they need. If it means going to the Vice Chancellor, I'm willing to do that. There may be difficulties, but I will never shy away from helping a student who is facing some difficulties in their life. But when you have failed to do your assignments and you have no good reason, so it's not because you are sick, it's not because you are bereaved, it's not because you need to understand that. It's just that you were too lazy or too carefree to do what you should do, and then you fail a course, and you come to me, maybe you think that Dr. Nwachukwu is a magician. So whatever you bring to him, he's going to wave his hand, and everything will be resolved. I will get angry, and sometimes I will send them away. But you know what happens? Few minutes after they leave, I will feel bad, and I will leave my office and go and hunt for those people and bring them back, and I comfort them and tell them what they should do. So sometimes I fail in doing the right thing, but because I realize that you cannot wish your mistakes away, I would endeavor to do the right thing. Yes.
So what's one thing people do not know about you? I know everyone has a general personality, everyone has something that's dominant, but then there's some salient things, there's some things that are not seen, that maybe only people that are close to you can know. So what's that one thing that people do not know about you, but you are?
Okay. No, you don't want to see me when I'm angry. You don't want to see me when I'm angry. I think that one person that can describe who I am when I'm angry is my wife. Because she's the one that knows me very, very well. If I'm angry in my house, everybody will go into hiding. Yes. But when I'm happy, you can laugh from morning till night. And I believe so much in discipline. And because of that, I expect people around me also to demonstrate discipline in whatever they do. So, no matter how much I love somebody, when they are wrong, they will also face the consequences. Many students think I'm too soft, but I'm not as soft as they think. I want to see myself as somebody that is compassionate. There's always a red line. I wouldn't allow any person, not even my colleagues, to cross that red line. Nobody. The way I was brought up is that if you do wrong, you face the consequences. If you do good, you receive your reward, and I live by that. There may be many other things that people do not know about me. I won't remember all. I won't remember all. I'll tell you, but students should never think that Nwachukwu is too soft. Those of them who have had that impression.
We see the other side.
Yes, it is.
So what would you say are your achievements in life?
Well, achievements. I do not know if I have what you may call achievements. But I think that God has blessed me in certain ways. God has blessed me with a good wife, blessed me with children who are the joy of my life. In spite of their weaknesses, they have not always lived up to expectation. That's because they are human beings. I know with time they will overcome their exuberance and settle down and behave properly. So they are my joy, and God has also blessed me with congregations that provide that spiritual environment where I can grow and thrive as a child of God. And God has also blessed me with an academic environment where I enjoy a cordial relationship with my colleagues, and so I'm able to grow also academically, not as much as I would have loved to, because there are many things around me that distract me, but I like the fact that in many ways, both physically and spiritually, I've enjoyed immense blessings from Christians, and from my colleagues, both in Nigeria and outside.
Besides being in the academia, that's being a lecturer and being an evangelist, do you have other things to do?
Before I came to UNN and accepted this job, the only job I had ever done in my life is the
Of an evangelist. What?
nothing else.
How are you able to feed from that?
Well, it so happened that's part of the blessing that God has given me. I have never ever experienced what it feels like to be rich. I have never been close to that. I have never known what it feels like to earn a salary that would last to the end of the month and then to be able to save part of your salary. I've never experienced that. But I've never lacked food to eat. I've never lacked clothes to wear. I've never failed to pay my children's school fees on time. I may not eat the best food in the world, nor wear the best clothes in the world, or wear. I could have a pair of shoes for 5 years, just like it was in the days of my father. We never had a lot of money, but we had joy. We had love in abundance. Our family bond has always been very, very strong. And those are blessings. And so when I face financial difficulties, God has always provided people that would lend easily. Easily. So I receive a lot of gifts from people. I accept the ones I should accept and reject the others. Yes, I'm not too sold on the gifts. So I know also that gifts can blind.
Very true.
Yes, I know that gifts can blind. So I don't accept gifts from every person out there. I reject a lot. I reject a lot. So God provides for me adequately more than I ever expected. My bank account may be in the red all the time, but it has not affected our family comforts. It has not at all.
So you are partly into PR when it comes to specialization, right?
Well, I love PR. I love PR, but it's not really my thing. It's not. The more I teach it, the more I feel like I should even do another doctoral program on public relations. I like the kind of skills that public relations actually provide. I love that very much. But my research interests are health communication, environmental communication, and cultural communication.
Oh wow.
Yes. But I like public relations also.
You know the reason why I delved into PR. These days I'm really careful to use the word delve. But then I think my next question will explain why. But then let's delve a little. The reason why I delved into PR is because recently we've been having a lot of saga. People taking people to court. They had the case of Nathaniel Bassi, Messi Chinwo, and even Erisco Tomatoes, and many others. Everybody taking people to court. What do you think is missing in Nigerian PR system? What's the reason why there's always a lot of legal issues in companies and all of that? What's missing in our PR?
Anyway, if you find a lot of litigation flying about, it is not actually a function of the failure of public relations. Because PR involves PR agencies, and they wouldn't come to you to advise you unless you go to them. you take your public relations problems to them and you reach an agreement, they tell you what to pay, and then they will advise you. So if I have issues with you, I may not know enough about public relations. I will just go to court. We'll have those things resolved. Public relations is not something that everybody in the street understands. There are many people who know nothing about public relations. But organizations and celebrities should know a lot about public relations. But unfortunately too, many celebrities know nothing about public relations. So they think that each time they have issues, and even when they are facing scandals, they try either to ignore those things or go to social media and attack those who are attacking them. Even when they know that doing that, they are even worsening their image problem. Sometimes somebody may commit a blunder that will now redefine who they are in the perception of their audience. And they wouldn't know what to do. But the ideal thing to do would be to get a PR consultant involved so that they can manage their relationship with their publics and have this matter resolved so that they can retain their public image and even do better. If you are a celebrity and you have a PR manager that would even counsel you on how to dress, on how to talk, where to go and where not to go, the kind of programs you should be associated with, you will be a better public figure. But when you are not properly guided, you will think that your life is just your own. You cannot be a public figure and say, I want to live my life the way I want it. I know that as a Christian, as an evangelist, I cannot live my life the way I want it. As a lecturer, I cannot dress anyhow and stand before my students. My dressing affects my image. The kind of people I associate with also have a bearing on my image. The way I talk affects my public image. So when you are a celebrity, you're always in the public eye. Even the way you eat, which other people are free to do as they like, talk the way that, go to places they like. Nobody bothers about them. But you face very strict public scrutiny because of who you are. So you cannot, in fact, you have lost your right to live your life the way you cannot. When you are the president of a country, for instance, you cannot say you want to live your life the way you want it. If you want to live your life the way you want it, do not become a public figure. People have the right, because you are saying, I am worthy to be a leader. I am worthy to advise other people. And when you make such claims, you lose the right to do as you like. People will examine your life thoroughly. Even what you have hidden under a stone, they will lift the stone to see what you have buried beneath. They will study your life completely. So you cannot just go and eat and drink how you like. They want to know whether you are cultured, whether you are refined. I mean, other persons can go to the bus station, the motor park, and use unwashed hands to eat and even use their finger to pick their teeth. They cannot do that because you have no rights. You only have the right to do the right thing. You have no right to do the wrong thing. They will examine you, they will judge you, and pass judgment against you in the court of public opinion.
Looks like Nigeria has a long way to go when it comes to embracing PR.
Yes. So when people commit blunders, because all of us commit blunders from time to time, we should take action. And you may not know how to go about it, but there are PR consultants who can help you do that. So when people go to social media and throw stones at each other, they think that those things do not matter, they matter a lot. People look at the kind of language you use in talking to other people, and you are denting your image without knowing what you are doing. And sometimes those problems become so bad that you become almost irredeemable. Yes, become irredeemable. So when you make mistakes, take actions immediately to redeem your image before you fall over the edge where the rope that could be thrown to you to drag you up again, won't be long enough to reach it. Yes.
We're going to go into the reason I talked about Dell right now.
Yes.
There's something currently trending on Twitter about the use of ChatGPT. A very renowned editor, I would say, a renowned person said, if he sees your write-up and he sees the word Dell, he automatically believes that you use ChatGPT. So the reason I'm introducing ChatGPT is because it's no longer news that Mass Communication Department of UNN is about to organize an international conference on AI and journalism, or in journalism. Do you think it will do harm or good?
You mean the conference or AI?
AI, introducing AI to journalism.
Okay. ICTs, information and communication technologies, have always impacted mass communication. And the fear has always been that one technology will kill this genre of mass communication or the other, but they won't. They won't. But they will modify them. So we cannot fight the march of technology, but we can control the kind of impacts it would have on mass communication. So our concern should not be how to eliminate or stop the impact of AI on mass communication. AI has come to stay. We cannot stop people from using AI. Then we should be concerned with how AI is employed in public communication. Because many unethical things can be done with artificial intelligence, and we're already feeling the impact with deepfakes and voice cloning and everything that AI is being used to do. Because AI has been used to harm the reputation of many people. Many celebrities are suffering. Professor Pat Otoni has complained several times about how AI has been used to harm his reputation. And it can happen to any person. With their deep fakes, AI can remove this.
Yes, Photoshop.
Yes. Put it on another person's face and accuse you of doing one thing or the other. You could be painted as a prostitute. You could be painted as one abusing her mother and doing other kinds of crazy things. And many people, millions of people all over the world will see that picture. But when the mistake, when that fake news is debunked, not all of them will see it.
So sad, and that's very true.
Yes. And then the damage will be permanent. And sometimes people will go and commit suicide because of what has been done to them, or lose their jobs, lose their self-confidence because of what people have done to them through AI. Another aspect that I see that we need to be very careful with the use of AI is that people can plagiarize other people's words with the use of ChatGPT and other AI tools. And I can see how AI can even limit somebody's creativity.
Yes.
If you allow that kind of technology to produce all your contents, you can just become lazy and not use your brain again to do anything. Because what gives us joy and what makes one writer, for instance, different from another person is that subtle creativity in us that makes me write in a way that will impact society, in a way that would attract the attention of others, different from the way that you two will write, and make impact also in your own way. So if I allow AI to do all my content creation, that my fingerprints will not be there again. And sometimes we use this in such a way that everybody sounds alike. Everybody sounds alike. You know what happens when you give a class assignment and the students don't apply their creativity, they just they go online, the same platform you are going to, other people are going there. And so when assignments are submitted, you read virtually the same thing from all students. In my face it, something happened in the class. It was Mark 101. Because sometimes students think we are so large in our class. Which lecturer will sit down and read everything from 300 students? So somebody wrote his assignment. And whether he was the one that did that thing or not, or the typist who typed that, but the lecturer found out that 5 students had submitted the same assignment. The only difference was their names. And they couldn't ever have imagined that the lecturer would sit down and read all of it. But he did, and noticed all those things. And then came to the class. I was sitting in the front as usual. So he gave me a copy of those assignments and then gave the other copies to other students. He asked me, read the first page. I did. You read the first page. And it was something verbatim. And those students, they could not defend themselves. And it became a huge problem to them. So AI would produce content that read in some way. So it affects creativity, but that doesn't mean that AI is useless and should be eliminated, because it will not be eliminated. Journalists have found ethical ways of using AI. AI is even used to fight fake news.
Yes, I mean there is Google reverse image that takes us back to the origin of an image in case of the Photoshop. So yeah.
So there are good uses for AI, but it can also be abused. You know, it is just like God's creation. There are many wonderful things God has created and put in nature to benefit man. The man has also found negative uses for those things. I mean, the same herbs that can cure illnesses can also be used to poison people.
Yes.
So we can abuse virtually anything. So AI should not be abused. And I think that the solution to the thing is to train public communicators on ethical use of AI. There should be training on that so that people will know how to use artificial intelligence to benefit society.
Would you penalize your students for using ChatGPT for an assignment?
Well, when the head of the department assigns students to me for supervision, I'm sure that the idea is not for me to supervise AI. I don't supervise AI. I want to supervise students. Yes. So I don't encourage it at all. In fact, I get angry when I know that the source of what I'm reading is not actually my students, but artificial intelligence. Why should I spend my time supervising technology, machines? I want to see them do the work themselves, demonstrate their own creativity. I want to see them make mistakes and let me correct those mistakes. It makes them better people. When they go out there, they can compete with others. Yes. If you allow AI to do all your work for you, you never can tell the kind of questions they will ask you during a job interview. And you will fumble. And you will leave that interview believing that you were not taught anything in mass communication department. And others will attend job interviews and perform very well.
So with a lot of decadence we see among Nigerian students, how do you think we can transfer positive values to students as lecturers?
As lecturers, we should actually practice what we preach. And it means that for me to teach moral values to students, you know, values that build society, because the problem we have in Nigeria is the collapse of culture. And see, it is not the fault of only students. They also watch adults who should provide leadership. They watch us fail. And so they do not see any reason why they should even strive to be better than the adult, because they think the society has already gone very bad. So leadership is very important. Leadership affects followership. So for us to be able to lay that moral foundation that will guide society, because I do not see how a society can make progress without those moral values. They are very, very important. They are the foundation, the building blocks of every society. So when we miss the culture that has nurtured our society in the past, we have lost everything. And that is what is happening in Nigeria now, that collapse of moral values and culture. See, I go to the banks, for instance. when I was a kid, we were all taught that you cannot stand when you cannot sit down when a 70-year-old woman is standing. Our culture has always dictated that you should give up your seat for the older person. But today, young people do not care.
They would even greet you and press their phones. Why?
Yes, young people do not care. For them, they go to the bank before her, so she should stand.
My right.
Yes. So it has never been part of the African culture. Our culture, our values have always been revere the one with gray hair. Honor them so that young people will also honor you when you get to that age. They will keep all of that. And it was not the young people that killed it. It was the older folks that killed it. So what is happening is that we laid a foundation. We sowed a rotten seed. You know, the seed has germinated, and all of us are reaping a very bitter harvest. And all of a sudden, even the old folks are complaining, and they have no right to complain. They are reaping what, no, let me not say that. We are reaping what we sowed. So if we want to correct the ills of the society, we should go back to our past. Shouldn't throw everything overboard. You know, we watch a lot of television, we learn a lot from the Western world without even looking at how those values that they demonstrate or uphold have affected their own societies. We should look at the implications of what we are borrowing and learn how to accept the good ones and throw away the bad ones so that we can retain our unique place in the community of nations. Our culture defines who we are. So when we try to be like the Russians, try to be like the Americans, try to be like the English, try to be like every other person in the world, we will be like the bats. We don't belong to the air, we don't belong to the ground. We will lose our place in the world. And that is what is happening to us today.
At this juncture, I want to table the matter of some students, right?
Okay.
It's like a norm in Nigeria to say they gave me F when you fail, and I got A when I pass. From your experience as a lecturer, why do you think students fail?
Well, I think we should ask, why do some students fail?
Okay.
Because clearly you didn't fail.
Okay, some students, yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So,
And many others also fail. Students sometimes fail for a lot of reasons. There is no size that fits all. So we cannot use one instance, for instance, and generalize to the entire student population. We cannot do that. There are several reasons. Number one is that students come here sometimes and make wrong choices. I do believe that God has given us the power to choose our friends. So you need to choose your friends wisely. Nobody chooses who their parents will be, who your siblings will be. Nobody ever chose to be a Nigerian. God made all those choices for us. But when it comes to choosing friends, God has given you the rights, the power to choose your friend, but also has advised us to be wise in choosing friends, because evil companionship will always corrupt good character. That's what the Holy Book says. Many students come here with lofty goals, but without realizing that the kind of people you associate with will go a long way in determining whether you're able to achieve your goals or not. Many students are dream killers. So if you want to actualize your dreams, choose the kind of friends that will help you achieve your goals. If you make the wrong choices, they will drag you down, because they have also determined they're already down and cannot do anything to get up, so they want to drag you down. So that's number one. Number two is that some students naturally find it difficult to stay in one place. They lack the discipline to stay in one place for more than 5 minutes. They have this itch on their legs. You turn the store, you see them.
On the go.
You turn the record, you see them. You go to the market, you see them. They're not there for anything. They just cannot stay in one place. They suffer from what psychologists call attention deficit disorder. And because they are far away from home, there is nobody that will guide them or exert some influence on them to learn to stay in one place. So when I find out that there are students like that, I go out of my way to fish them out and find a way to control their movements and get them not just to study, but to find other students that will help them, get to the finish line without falling behind. There are students that will read, and they are so studious that each time you go to the class, you see them there. They can be in one place and read from morning till night, but their head cannot retain much. So they put in a lot of work, but during the exam, they will not remember a single thing. They may not be described as what we call dunce. It's just that they need help. And because the class is overpopulated, it is difficult for lecturers to have that one-on-one relationship with students. Those students have challenges. They need somebody that will guide them, counsel them on what to do. So when you find students who read too much, they retain very little, and then they go to the exam, they fail. All they need is to find themselves in a study group where they can hold discussions. If they pick up their notebooks, look at different topics, this is a topic we studied this in the class the other day, let's discuss it. They close their notebooks. And everybody forces themselves to say all they may remember on that very topic. The fact is that whatever you're able to remember and discuss and hear from your study group members in that discussion, you will never forget ever again. So in the exam, you will remember all those things and you will write well. I've done that with some students and the result has been tremendous. But if a lecturer doesn't know students, how can they be helped? They cannot. No. And then there are some who come here because they live a highly regimented life
At home.
And they come here and they look at the vast expanse of land in UNN and they see they can go to Udim. Do you know, I have been here since 2008. I don't know where Udim is. Okay, some people come to UNN and within a week, they have gone to all the nooks and crannies of UNN and they just see they can attend parties without money, ask them, where are you? Freedom is always difficult to manage. Very, very difficult. It takes discipline to decide, I won't go to this place, it will not go well for me. If I go to this place, it will kill me. If I go to this person's house, I will not be who I am. So freedom or absolute freedom is one of the reasons why some students also fail. So it begins usually with attending parties on campus, not being in the class when you ought to be. The moment you begin to miss assignments and miss lectures, you are going down the valley. As a student as mature as I was, I know that from first year to final year, I don't think I missed classes up to 5 times. And each time I was going to be late to class, I will send a message to the lecturer involved or call on the phone and say, please, I traveled over the weekend and I'm on my way back, I will be late to class. And because I did that, because each time I was late to class, the lecturer will just look at her, see me and say, Nwachukwu, enter. And others will be standing there. And they thought it was just... And they didn't know what I always did the right thing. Or tried to do the right thing, not all the time. I always tried to respect those lecturers. I understood that I ought to be in the class before the lecturer even entered. I didn't enjoy submitting assignment late. The only time I ever submitted my assignment late was in my final year. I was the editor of the record newspaper. And because of that, I was distracted a lot. So there was one assignment I did not submit on time. But I had to go to the lecturer to apologize. So please give me more time. I'm very, very busy with the record newspaper production. And he understood and allowed me to submit after the deadline. So when you begin to submit your assignment late, you will fall into the habit of going to lecturers, sir, please, have mercy on me, sir, please. And a lot of things can happen when you do that. A lot of things. So there are many reasons why individual students may not perform as well as they do. And some are so timid. They have many questions to ask, but they cannot because they feel too shy to ask. Sometimes when I go to the class, I look around, I teach, students take notes, but I also observe students. So when somebody is not writing notes, I will ask questions and invite that person to my office. And that was how I got to know that there are students who cannot listen and ask questions at the same time.
Wow.
They can listen, they cannot copy notes at the same time. They cannot. When you dictate notes, they can write. But when you just speak and expect them to write their notes, they cannot. That's their nature. So what they do is that after the class, they will go and borrow notes. So if I don't call and ask, I will not know. But I met a couple of students with that kind of limitation. So I now, from that time, I'll call them and ask them how they are faring. And I advise, don't rely on one person's notes. Because you'll be surprised to learn that you say one thing, students will write what you said in different ways. Sometimes even say what you never said. So if I miss a class in those days, I will borrow notes from 3 or 4 students and place them on my desk and see which one sounds correct. And if I was not convinced, I would go to the lecturer and say, I'm having confusion here. What exactly did you say in the class? So there are many reasons. All of us are not the same. Yeah. We have different limitations, different deficiencies, and different reasons for behaving the way we do. Yes.
Finally, as we close the curtain of today's interview, what would you love to be remembered from life?
I want to, if there will be any epitaph on my gravestone, I want to be described as a man that came and did his best. In fact, his environment. That's all.
Wow. That's really making me emotional. It was a wonderful pleasure. I'm adding wonderful to pleasure because I cannot explain how I feel having this interview with you. Thank you so much
my pleasure.
for granting us this audience, and we at My Experience really do appreciate this.
You're welcome. Thank you.